Coming up on Network Africa, following in the steps of Mali, the Junta in Niger cuts ties with Ukraine. UN Human Rights Chief calls for an end to the conflict in Cameroon's northwest and southwest regions. Plus, the World Health Organization summons an emergency meeting as Mpox cases rise in Africa. Thank you so much for joining us on the program at this time. I'm Layo Olarinde. We start off with news that Niger has cut diplomatic ties with Ukraine, a move which signals a growing rift between some West African states and Ukraine. Niger's military government is claiming solidarity with its neighbor, Mali, who severed relations with Ukraine some days ago. Both countries cite comments by a Ukrainian military official who suggested Kyiv played a role in the killing of dozens of Malian soldiers last month. Ukraine has been trying to win allies in Africa throughout its war with Russia. Many believe it's an attempt to counter Moscow's growing influence on the continent. UN Human Rights Chief Volker Turk is calling for an end to the conflict in Cameroon's northwest and southwest regions. In his words, no stone should be left unturned in efforts to silence the guns and bring this untenable crisis to an end, end of quote. He is also asking for those responsible for human rights violations to be brought to book. In both regions of Cameroon, protests erupted in 2016 before morphing into an armed conflict between separatist groups, other armed groups and security forces. Now, this has left thousands of people killed, hundreds of thousands displaced, and more than 700,000 children denied education. During his visit, the High Commissioner met with senior government officials, including Prime Minister Joseph Ngute, members of a wide range of political parties, and also members of the diplomatic corps, as well as UN entities.
I also called on Cameroon to accelerate adoption of comprehensive legislation on violence against women and to revise the penal code to ensure access to justice and other essential services for victims. Harmful practices, including forced or early marriage, sexual harassment, rape, and sexual mutilation, must be vigorously tackled. Inequalities and unlawful discrimination on the basis of race, ethnicity, religion, linguistic origin, sexual orientation, and other grounds need to be eliminated.
Well, in response to the spread of Mpox beyond the Democratic Republic of Congo and the risk of further international transmission within and outside Africa, the WHO Director General, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, has announced an emergency committee under international health regulations. Well, the committee is expected to advise him on whether the outbreak constitutes a public health emergency of international concern. The Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention announced last week that Mpox has been identified in 10 African nations this year, with the DR Congo accounting for over 96% of all cases and fatalities. Nearly 70% of the cases in Congo are among children aged 15 and younger, and these children make up 85% of the deaths. According to reports, this Mpox variant is highly infectious, allowing it to spread rapidly among individuals, prompting serious concern from WHO experts.
Neighboring the DRC, since the beginning of this year, the Democratic Republic of the Congo has been experiencing a severe outbreak of Mpox, with more than 14,000 reported cases and 511 deaths. Outbreaks of Mpox have been reported in DRC for decades, and the number of cases reported each year has been increasing steadily. However, the number of cases reported in the first 6 months of this year match the number reported in all of last year, and the virus has spread to previously unaffected provinces. In the past month, about 50 confirmed and more suspected cases have been reported in 4 countries neighboring the DRC that have not reported before: Burundi, Kenya, Rwanda, and Uganda. WHO is working with the governments of the affected countries, the Africa CDC, NGOs, civil society, and other partners to understand and address the drivers of these outbreaks. Stopping transmission will require a comprehensive response with communities at the center. WHO has standing recommendations on mpox, which include advice not to impose travel restrictions on affected countries.
Well, joining us on the program is public health physician and director of the Global Health and Infectious Disease Institute, KEFI, Nasarawa State, Dr. Aiala Ishaku. He joins us virtually from Abuja. Good day to you, Doctor. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Layo, for having me.
Well, what do we know about this new variant of mpox, and have we encountered it here in Nigeria?
As it is, as of today, we have not yet have any report on the new variant of monkeypox. What we have is a circulating clade 2 variant that was established in 2022. As it is today, there is no any report from the Nigeria Center for Disease Control or from any sister agencies that established new circulating strains. But that calls for a national emergency alert because in 2024, from January till date, Nigeria had 24 cases with no deaths. So it shows that we need to do more in terms of testing. We need to also do more in terms of reporting.
Now, the last time there was a serious conversation about mpox, the international community was so concerned, but we, at least here in Nigeria, did not consider it out of the ordinary. Should we be concerned this time?
For sure, we should be concerned. If WHO will be asking for advisory technical expert opinion on whether monkeypox will be a health emergency of international concern, Nigeria is not living in isolation. We must also begin to think in that direction. We must begin to be preventive in our approach rather than being reactive. So I think it is a thing of concern. We need to actually deep into this and begin to come up with certain precautionary measures. We need to go deeper into understanding public health advocacy to be able to also come up with some national policy. So we should be concerned about this, and it is quite key.
Well, hinging on the precautionary measures you just mentioned, for countries that, the pox is not yet spread to, what should they be doing?
Actually, they need to mount a lot of surveillance. Most of the countries that they have not yet established the presence of monkeypox, their surveillance system needs to be strengthened. There should be a paradigm shift from a passive surveillance system to an active surveillance system. They need to also build around national health security in terms of border control, in terms of also port authorities control. So it is quite key that health system should be strengthening, because if you look at the outbreak of monkeypox in other African countries, the case fatality rate is a bit high. It is a disease that is zoonotic in nature and also has a very short incubation period with high case fatality rate. So I think health system needs to be strengthened in low-income countries like in sub-Saharan Africa. But in advanced nations, I know that for sure they have built around health security and also strengthened their surveillance systems.
Now, in the past, there was a mpox cover, through the smallpox vaccine. Tell us a bit more now about the mpox vaccine that's available.
For now, there has not been any definitive universally acceptable mpox vaccine that is available, although there has been some prototypes that have undergone some clinical trials at different stages of clinical trials. But the smallpox vaccine has been very, very efficacious, confining immunity to individuals that takes it. And also, we need to also thank God for herd immunity, the natural immunity that we acquire upon exposure to most of these infectious agents and this virus. So as it is today, there are about 16 types of monkeypox viruses that are undergoing different clinical trials in different countries, from primates to different levels and phases of clinical trials. But as it is today, there is no any conventionally rolled out vaccines for monkeypox. We are hoping that in the next future, just like the way we make advances in COVID vaccine, a monkeypox vaccine will be readily available for people to get the acquired immunity from the vaccines.
All right, then. Thank you so much. Public health physician and director of the Global Health and Infectious Diseases Institute, Dr. Aiala Ishaku. Thank you for your time on the program.
Thank you so much for having me, Lio. Good evening.
Well, still on health matters, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has vowed to move ahead with the implementation of the National Health Insurance Bill, in spite of the strong opposition from within and outside his government. He signed the controversial bill into law just before his party, the African National Congress, lost its parliamentary majority in the May elections. Well, the NHI aims to provide universal health care coverage for all through a major overhaul of the country's two-tier system. It would gradually limit the role of private healthcare insurance, which fewer than 16% of South Africans have. Well, supporters see the bill as a positive change, which will reverse inequalities dating back to the apartheid era. However, political parties and other stakeholders oppose the NHI, arguing that the proposed funding model will not work. There have also been concerns that its implementation will be undermined by widespread corruption and budget. Well, back here in Nigeria, the Lagos state government says it has taken significant strides in the fight against hepatitis, launching comprehensive initiatives to curb the spread of the virus. At a symposium marking World Hepatitis Day in Lagos, the permanent secretary of the State Ministry of Health, Dr. Olusegun Ogboye, outlined the state's efforts, including subsidized hepatitis C testing, vaccination of residents, and extensive community outreach programs aimed at reducing the disease's impact on the population.
Selected medical experts in the public and private sector converge on Folari Koka Staff Clinic, Alausa Ikeja, for the 2024 World Hepatitis Day Symposium organized by the Lagos State Ministry of Health.
The importance of collaboration in achieving our shared goals.
Hepatitis is an inflammation of the liver, most commonly caused by a viral infection, and there are 5 main hepatitis viruses referred to as types A, B, C, D, and E. According to the World Health Organization, hepatitis is the second leading infectious disease which accounts for over 1.3 million deaths yearly. A critical health issue the state government is not taken lightly.
The recent survey, or let me say assessment that was done locally by the states, puts the states at the prevalent level of about 5% for hepatitis B and about 1.1% for hepatitis C too.
A consultant gastroenterologist at the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, Dr. Rufina Igete, explains that about 90 to 95% of Nigerians acquire the infection in childhood, either through the placenta from an infected mother or childhood spread. Dr. Rufina urges residents to get tested and be vaccinated.
Sometimes within the first 8 weeks of the infection, or even within the first 4 weeks of the infection, somebody can come down with acute liver failure. And that can be life-threatening. There are other things that we do for pregnant mothers who have hepatitis B virus infection. Okay, once they are pregnant, we always suggest they come to us in the 3rd trimester. Because in the 3rd trimester, now WHO says treat. so that you can reduce viral load.
A survivor of HPV narrates how she found out about her health challenge.
Though I have heard about this, hepatitis and every other thing, but the classmate of mine actually died of this virus last year. And due to the final year exams and everything, we the friends, we didn't go to check ourselves. And even I have done my thing, maybe it wouldn't have led me to the incident that happened last month. And I don't feel like I'm survivor, I can say that.
The state government says the awareness program aims to inform citizens about how to get help and reduce hepatitis figure in Lagos.
In Lagos State, we have about 29 general hospitals. You could walk into any of those general hospitals that you want to know your status. And if you are tested, you are negative, you get vaccinated. So as part of our commitment in the state is to create that heightened awareness.
The permanent secretary of the State Ministry of Health, Dr. Aiala, says government will be expanding its awareness program to curtail the spread of hepatitis.
The estimated 2 million Lagosians living with viral hepatitis B and 200,000 living with viral hepatitis C are largely undiagnosed, increasing the likelihood of future transmission to unsuspecting members of society. Individuals infected with hepatitis who are yet to present at any health facility remain undetected, untreated, and infectious. Informed by these insights, we're embarking on bold initiatives to curtail hepatitis. Our strategy involves comprehensive awareness programs targeting the 3 senatorial districts within the state.
Medical experts say hepatitis is preventable and controllable only when it is detected early for treatment.
Still ahead on the program. Tunisia's President Kais Saied dismisses the Prime Minister Ahmed Hachani, naming a new successor. Please join us again. Welcome back. There's an upheaval again in Tunisia where the President Kais Saied has dismissed Prime Minister Ahmed Hachani just after 1 year in office. In his place, he has appointed the Minister of Social Affairs, Kamel Madouri. Mr. Hachani had expressed that the government had achieved progress on several fronts despite challenges related to high food and energy prices just hours to his removal. The dismissal is happening amid widespread dissatisfaction with ongoing water shortages and electricity outages across the nation. President Saied perceives the water shortages as a conspiracy ahead of the presidential election, asserting that the dams are actually at full capacity, while the Agriculture Ministry insists the dam level is critically low at 25%. Police in Tanzania are investigating 5 men caught in a viral video allegedly gang raping a young woman. Allegations that the suspects as soldiers has sparked an uproar in the East African state. Security forces are yet to comment, but police say their investigations are progressing well. They deny that the young woman died after the ordeal and did not confirm reports that arrests had been made. Authorities are warning members of the public to stop sharing such disturbing images online. And finally, on the program, China boasts of more than 3,000 universities and colleges spread across the country, with over 40 million students enrolled in mainland China. These institutions of higher learning, which attract even international students, churn out graduates every year who will either join the workforce or return to their countries to be effective. Ifeanyi Smile Okoro is one of those international students studying in China. Our correspondent Amarachi Ubani tells us more.
There are currently over 1.4 billion people living in China, and about 61.3% of that population are people between the ages of 16 to 59 years. This means that the institutions of higher learning across the country are brimming with young minds, even though they say there's still room for more, especially from Africa. Ifeanyi Smile Okoro is a young Nigerian who's been living in China for about 5 years. He resumed admission into Hunan Normal University in 2019 to study international business, economics, and trade. Now he's settled in China helping to run the family business from here.
Due to the partnership that I and my family have been having with so many companies here in China, and all the Chinese culture, the way they accept foreigners, as long as you're not doing anything illegal, 100% assurance I can give you is that in regarding of anything that brought you to China, you must surely get it 100%.
He's not the only success story China displays so proudly. These other African students testify to how studying in China has changed their perception of the Chinese.
Particularly, I'm impressed at how China has leveraged its rich cultural heritage for amazing developmental achievements. This is something worth emulating. Bao Yu, Zhongguozhen Mei. This is how my teacher inspired me to further my studies in China. I accepted the challenge to come and experience it for myself.
My love in China, in Hunan Normal University, has been absolutely unforgettable experience. Not only I have deepened my knowledge of translation, the Chinese language, the history, and also the culture. But I also have participated in many international conferences and studies.
Vice President, Director of the Social Sciences Base for China-Africa Cultural Cooperation and Exchange in Hunan Province, Ms. Zhu Shu, makes a case for why Nigerian students should consider studying in China.
Our university will continue to integrate and work hard to promote China-Africa cooperation in the following areas. The first area, establishing high-end think tanks for China-Africa research to contribute wisdom to exchanges and cooperations in industries, culture, and education between China and Africa. The second, relying on the Confucius Institute, establishing Luban workshops and setting up vocational training classes to train excellent urban construction talents for cooperation enterprises in Africa. The third, expanding the education of African students in China at the master's level and developing joint doctoral training programs. The fourth is preparing to establish a regional country research center for Africa. Nigeria is a key country for Hunan's cooperation with Africa, and will also be a very key, important country for our exchanges and cooperation.
Leading the Nigerian delegation is a media strategist, Charles Udoganya, who emphasizes that increasing scholarships for Nigerian students into Chinese universities will help fill the quota China expects from Africa.
We will be pleased to see more Nigerian students admit or enroll in your university. And I believe that even though I didn't hear that in your speech, that you should be able to see possibilities of provision of scholarships in order to enable more Nigerians who have interest in studying in your university to be able to enroll.
This educational partnership is one of the ways China hopes to engage Nigerians into embracing Chinese culture, the people, and its friendship. In Changsha, Amarachi Ubani for China.
And that's it on the program today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Layo Olarinde.